Okay, that's great. Looks like we've got a nice group of people here now, so we're just going to get started. So my name is Michael McGuire. I'm president of Ramudden Digital. We represent North America and offer digital solutions both in the permanent infrastructure space as well as Workzones. And today we're going to talk about a new product from our sister company in the UK called the Intellitag. And it's focused on digital supervision of Workzones to help create a safer, greener, and more efficient work zones across North America. This is a product that's been in use in the UK and in Europe for the past 10 years, and they've got tens of thousands deployed and in use. And so we've just kind of created and launched the North American version of this a few months ago. So this is very fresh and new to the market, and excited to show you guys what it's all about. So what we're going to talk about today, I'm going to give you a brief introduction about who we are, and then we're going to look at what is the Intellitag, what is digital supervision, how does it work, and that's one of the key use cases. The second use case that's up and coming is digital marking, and we'll get a bit more into that. And then finally, what's coming soon. There's lots of various applications and use cases for this device, and there's a lot of interesting conversations going on now, so we'll give you a peek at some of the innovations that we'll be bringing to this device shortly. And then we'll finish with a Q&A. And so for the Q&A, please don't wait till the end to submit questions. If you notice in the menu sidebar for GoToWebinar, there's a question box, one of the buttons you can pop on, and you can submit questions there. So please, just as they come to mind as we're going through the presentation, please just enter questions in there. And further to that, at the very end of the webinar, right before the question period, we're going to get into a skill testing poll question with a bit of a giveaway. And for that giveaway, how it's going to work is we're going to look for you to enter the answer into the question box. So either A, B, C, or D. So just keep in mind that's for questions, but also when we get to the poll question, we're going to have a multiple choice question in there as well. All right, so let's just jump into it. So as I mentioned, we're Ramudden Digital. We used to be called Stinson ITS, and we rebranded last year. We're part of a group of companies under the brand of Ramudden Global, which is a very established workzone management company in a number of European markets, primarily based and headquartered in Stockholm, Sweden. But Ramudden Canada is made up of a number of companies that used to be called Direct Traffic, PGC Services, Ontario Barrier Wall, as well as Stinson and Stinson ITS. And now we are the digital technology group within that company. We have a rentals department, a services department, and then Stinson has remained Stinson, manufacturing distributed traffic signs and devices. And within digital, we are far from just a product distributor. We try to be a full service turnkey solution provider. So we can custom design solutions, we can integrate things, we can provide automation through hardware and software. And so we like to say that we're can kind of enter a project at any point from inception to delivery, and have kind of a record and experience delivering those. So what is Intellitag? So I forgot to introduce my colleague, Gary. So Gary's here now as well, and he's going to be doing the bulk of the presentation, and he leads our digital innovation lead on the Intellitag and some of these other products. So Gary, please take it away.
Thank you, Michael. My name's Gary Billis. As Michael said, I lead the innovation on the Intellitag. I've been with the company, the group of companies, for over 20 years, and been in the North American market for about 3 years now. So we'll just go ahead and jump straight into it. What is Intellitag? Intellitag is a simple device that creates safer, greener, and more efficient work zones. It attaches to any traffic management signs or equipment and plots that equipment on a digital map. It's about the size of a mobile phone, maybe just a little bit bigger. It provides digital updates, statuses of your work site, and sends instant alerts if a sign has fallen or been moved, at which point the traffic control operators can send a maintenance team to assess and reinstate the affected sign. Digital supervision using Intellitag. So using Intellitag is an easy to use and can connect to a variety of devices. which includes barrier and other traffic control equipment. Once the device is connected to a sign, the Intellitag sends and receives data on position, orientation, battery level, and the type of sign or device that it's mounted to. Some of the benefits of the Intellitags increase safety for road users and staff on the road by enabling digital enforcement, better service, real-time information sent out via message, enabling event-based actions and maintenance, reduced costs, reduced need for physical supervision, and improved durability, less unnecessary transport, which reduces CO2 emissions, and longer battery life. The two primary use cases we're talking about today is digital supervision, is enabling remote supervision for data-driven sign diaries. In Ontario, like a lot of the other places in the world, we have to record and maintain the site. And this has been a very manual driven process up to now. So with the Intellitag, we have no need to drive to site, check your signs. You only go when we're alerted, saving fuel time and reducing emissions. Digital marking of the work zone. We can either do this with every sign on the site, or we can just do the start and end. And we can see whether the site was set up properly, permit utilization, and Book 7 compliance. How does Intellitag work? So we install the Intellitag on a device either via screw, bolt, or banding. When we've screwed it to the device, we open the deployment app, scan the QR code on the back of the device. Once that, it gives us a little menu of how the device is doing, battery, expected life, the last work zone it was on. Once we've done that, we can pick what sign face that we want to display on the Intellitag, what geozone or site we want to do. And then once we've done that, the sign then will show up on the map. So the whole process is designed to be easy and very quick. Now the device is set up, we can it'll appear on the map back on the web portal, and we can get alerts via SMS and email when the sign's been moved, knocked over, or even stolen or moved. How often does Intellitag speak in? So depending on the site requirements, we can set the Intellitag to set it to speak in every 8 hours, 2 hours, once a day, twice a day, once a week. So that will be set up in the beforehand, before we put the job up, or if the Intellitag is knocked over or is moved or hit by a vehicle, then the Intellitag will talk in as well. Once the Intellitag's talked in and told us that the sign has been moved over or knocked over, it'll also talk in again to let us know when the Intellitag is upright. So why digital supervision? So the inspection of traffic and safety equipment at workplaces are required to ensure satisfactory safety at the workplace. Like we said before, the inspections have historically been carried out by physical inspections, where staff drive to and from a workplace, record the signs either on a piece of paper or a tablet. So with the Intellitag, we've no need to do this. With the Intellitag, we can do this all from the office. Every sign is displayed on the map. And then we can also generate reports that tells us exactly how many times the sign is checked in for a number of days. When event-driven supervision, connected equipment at workplaces provides the opportunity to monitor and report digitally, enabling supervision action and action after the alarm. So that means that when a sign is knocked down, we can send someone straight out to rectify the sign instead of going there 2 or 3 times a day.
Maybe we can speak a bit about how that works as far as SMS messaging and kind of the workflow. Is it next?
Yeah, that's the next slide. Yeah. So yeah, the next slide will show us. We've got a short video of a 3D render that shows us exactly how the notification process works. So as we said before, the Intellitag is fixed to the back of a sign, whether it's by banding, bolt, or strapped. When a vehicle or some member of the public or a site vehicle knocks a sign down, we get an alert. The Intellitag talks to the cloud. We get an alert via a text message or an email. When the text message comes through, it provides the operative or the maintenance crew with a Google Maps link, which will take them directly to the affected sign via a navigation app. And it means they can go, get there quickly and rectify this sign that's been knocked over.
Walk very casually.
Or walk very casually, yeah. It's a bit of a, that guy's taking his time. Digital marketing. So again, another feature with the Intellitag is digital sign marking. Now we can do this one or two ways. We can mark every sign that's on the work site as the picture shows on the right, or we can do the first and last sign to show the extent of the work zone. Once this is installed, again, the software tracks the start, stop time, on and off time, and can provide reporting for signs installed, signs taken away, etc.
Yeah, one of the key use cases with that is to know when the job was set up. Often there's, especially on highways with MTO, there's very strict limitations on when you're allowed to close the roadway. And sometimes that can be pushed a little bit too early. They can stay on the road a little bit too late. So it's a really great tool for enforcement to ensure you know exactly when the lane was closed and ensuring it stayed in compliance with those time bounds. And so that's one of the key use cases for the digital marking, to know where it is, but also when it was set up and when it was torn down.
So what's next for Intellitag? So we can both speak to this one.
Yeah.
So
one of the other key use cases for digital marking is what we like to call generally just connected work zone. And a big part of that is getting it onto the map. And generally that means Waze, but it also means in-car infotainment systems and even into Google Maps, Apple Maps, and some other ones. And so that's been a big focus of ours for this use case. And so we've actually just got approval of our Waze feed about 2 weeks ago. And so this is kind of what's next for the digital marking. So work zones are one of the key areas where a map will change. So when it comes to automated vehicles and safety as people approach work zones, knowing in advance that there's a work zone there, or there's going to be some sort of change to the roadway that both drivers and eventually autonomous vehicles must be aware of, is going to be achieved through some sort of connectivity to that work zone, to know where it is and that it's active, and potentially even to what extent it's obstructing the road, whether it's 1 lane, 2 lanes, etc. And so the coming soon use case for digital marking is to be able to get it on the map. And so as cars drive towards the work zone, they'll get a notification. This icon you're showing here is a connected arrow board that we're using. So those are those LED arrow signs you see on the highway that kind of warn you that a lane is closed ahead. So it'll advise you in a custom message to say merge left, construction zone ahead. So the intent is that drivers are more aware that there's potential slowdowns ahead and they can prepare for it and hopefully reduce collisions and frustration by drivers. And alternatively, in some cases, traffic is rerouted to avoid the area because Waze and these navigation apps know this is a congested area. And so that marking of the first and last sign within the work zone is going to be a method at the bare minimum to get your urban work zones onto the map as well, and as well as on highway and other rural applications.
Yeah. So within the system currently, we've got a very simple permitting system integration where we can record the start of a permit, end of a permit, and then we can send out notifications to the contractor, to the local authority to say a permit's coming to an end, and they can have time to extend the permit or if the permit's finished. And then the future is to try and allow automatic permit number association with the local authority system to ensure compliance.
Yeah, so this is something that's been widely used in the UK. The UK has a very public permitting system through one network that publishes the permits as well as the geo kind of fencing of those permit areas. So the the web portal is able to look at where our devices are deployed and then do kind of a lookup service to that one network portal to find out which work permit is associated with the work in the work zone that we're deploying. And it's able to pull details on when the permit is starting, the bounds of it, and when it's planned to end. And so it allows us to get into permit utilization and efficiency tracking for those permits to see if they're asking for way more time than they need, if the bounds of the permit are much wider than it needs to be and it could have been a lot more constrained. And we're seeing a lot of appetite for that in the Canadian market as well. City of Toronto in particular is deploying a digital permitting system right now. And we're looking into ways that we can interface with these systems to kind of both pull and push our device data and the permit data so that we can kind of gain insights into how well these permits are being used and hopefully gain insights into efficiencies that can be gained in these urban spaces. Obviously, congestion is a big challenge right now in major urban centers across the country. And so we see this as an opportunity to make permits a little bit more efficient and hopefully allow more construction to happen within the kind of the current bounds, and maybe perhaps changing how permits are issued or tracked through the use of these devices and that type of integration. And that's basically it. Those are the two big features we're hoping to test out and roll out over the next few months. So if you have any interest in these concepts, we'd love to discuss it with you. Again, this is a sign digitization device that has a lot of different use cases. These are the core ones that we're focused on. That's what they focused on in Europe. But we have a number of ideas coming to us all the time. So maybe we'll jump into, I think we're into the poll question now. Yep, so I'm going to pass it over to my colleague Sam, who's going to run through the question. And just remember, it's the question chat box on the right-hand side of your screen where you need to enter the answers. And so Sam will read out the question, and then the first one to answer will get this little prize.
So our quiz question is, what is not a primary use case for Intellitag as defined in this presentation? These are your options. I'll wait a couple seconds to see if we get any answers. We do have a correct answer pretty quickly. It is B, digital alerting. And the first person to answer correctly was Philip. So Philip, I will contact you afterwards to get your mailing address. Congratulations.
Great, thanks everyone. So now we're going to jump into the question period. So yeah, if you haven't put something in already, please throw some questions in the side, and then Sam is going to read them up to us, and we'll get through as many as we can. And if there's any extra, we'll send follow-ups after the fact.
So there is a few questions already. The first question was, can you batch assigned tags? Some sites would include many of the same sign type.
I'm not quite sure I understand. The intent for this device is on a per sign basis. You would install a device on each sign, because obviously you need to maintain the integrity of each of those signs. So even if it's repeated, unless it's attached together, I don't understand the value of batching. If you can maybe submit a follow-up question to clarify that a bit more, we'll circle back at the end.
I believe it was asked around the configuration in the app and assigning it the different sign faceplates. Can you do that in batches, or is it on an individual basis?
No, sort of individual basis. Yeah.
How easy is it for a contractor who uses Intellitag to share their map with clients and owners? Do owners also need their digital map, or do they otherwise get access?
Yeah, they do. So the web portal has a range of kind of hierarchies. So we're obviously admins, and then we can add clients and users with a variety of permissions. If they want to just view the map, it's very easy to share and add users to that platform. And so you as a contractor or as an owner can go in and see where the signs are and decide if you want the alerts or if you just want to be able to run reports and observe the work zone. So it's a very rich portal that's been out and developed for the last 10, 15 years. So it has all the kind of the standard user permissions that you'd think from a basic read-only user to a full admin that's getting alerts and responding to them.
What's the difference between a fallen sign signal and a sign takedown at the end of the day?
So a sign, it's all around the alerts. So the fallen sign will send you an alert to say the sign is not upright, and a sign at the end of the day will give you an alert to say that it's been taken out of the geo zone, so away from the work site. So it's two different alerts.
Is there a way to track the device should the sign being used get stolen or dragged down the road from a car? Or does it simply only show you where the sign should be based on the GPS setup of the device?
So no, the device is LTE connected. It does not have an on or off switch on it, so it's always running and always able to send GPS. So we've had issues with devices stolen before and tracked them through their GPS to people's backyards and things, and we haven't experienced it yet, but I anticipate it is going to happen. So certainly, we as long as the device continues to move at a set few minute interval, it will continue to broadcast its GPS to the portal. And so if it gets dragged down the road, we'll get the location of where it was kind of abandoned, or if it's taken completely and continues to move, then we will get, I think it's every 15 minutes, we'll get GPS pings from the device on where exactly it is. So certainly if it's stolen, you can get notifications and track down where it ends up at the end of that journey.
Doesn't Google already include warnings for construction/delays?
It does, but it's not contextual. There's two ways that those are submitted into the map. One is through pulling public permit information. And the challenge with that is kind of related to what I was saying about permit efficiency. Typically when constructors want a permit for a certain part of the roadway or stretch of roadway, they'll typically put in a period that's much longer than what they actually need. So if they need 3 days to do some work, they'll put in a closure for say 7 days or 8 days or 2 weeks maybe even. And that's what Google interprets as the bounds and kind of start and end time of work zones. And so it'll post that, but often it's not contextual. And so it's nothing more frustrating as a driver to get warned of a work zone and then you pull up and there's no work happening and there's not even a work zone there sometimes. So they are in there, but they're not very accurate. So the purpose of this system is to provide very contextual information on only when there's actually a disruption, a work zone is actually there, then it will land on the map. And the other way that Google Maps posts information about work zones is user-generated content. So if you're driving down the road, you see a work zone and you want to report it, you can add a report within the Google app and that will place an icon on the map. And similar to that, when we post something on the map, there's an interaction feature where you can kind of validate if that event or hazard that they warned you about is actually legitimate. And so it's been very interesting. We've only been on Waze with our devices the last couple of weeks, but we've seen hundreds of validations or what they consider kind of thumbs up within the portal to validate that they're happy with the alert and that it was legitimate. So there is, work zones do make its way onto the map, but it's either user generated or sometimes inaccurate through pulling on bulk all these public permits that are issued.
What precautions exist against losses/missing signage?
One more time, sorry, Sam.
What precautions exist against losses/missing signage?
The key prevention is just the fact that it's a connected device and it has a, depending on how it's configured, a 3 to 5 year battery life. And so we are always going to get GPS readings. So you really, unless you disconnect the device from the sign and throw that away and then just take the sign, that's the only way you're really going to get away with a stolen sign without actually being able to track it to the user. So the fact that it's a connected long life battery life device means that we will always be able to know where these devices are, whether they're in the work zone or in somebody's backyard.
How do you see this use case being valuable to short-term setups, as well as in regions that require more complicated setups and larger volumes of signs?
Yeah, on the short-term setups, the value is less on the sign diary because it's often only for a few hours, say a nighttime closure on a highway or in an urban environment. And so the value there, I at least personally, I think is more on digital marketing to know when was it deployed, when was it removed, and ensuring that it gets onto the navigation apps to improve safety for approaching traffic. I think the longer deployments will benefit much more from the digital sign diary concept. Like right now, it's a guy or two guys in a truck driving often long distances to site to go through and drive by every single sign manually and note that it's okay. And as you can imagine, there's a lot of labor and costs and fuel and time that goes into that. And so we see a lot of benefit and a lot of cost savings associated with just doing that in a very data-driven way. So no need to drive to site unless you actually have a problem to address. And that's the long-term use case. And the Ramudden, as a company within Canada, is the largest temporary traffic management company. And we actually have to do these sign diaries all the time. So this is gaining us a ton of efficiency for these jobs where sometimes, you know, an hour or 2 hours outside the GTHA, we have to drive to site. Now we've, you know, promoted and implemented these digital tracking devices to make that much more efficient and cost effective for us. So that's the two ways I see short-term and long-term efficiencies and value from this device.
What is the precise size of the Intellitag?
Precise size, we can send it out as a follow-up, but say it's a smartphone, 2 smartphones, maybe 3 smartphones stuck together. It's, if I were to be precise, I would say it's 10 centimeters tall, 6 centimeters wide, and 5 centimeters deep. So it's very much handheld like a smartphone, just a little bit thicker. So it's about maybe say 6 centimeters thick, whereas a smartphone is usually 1 centimeter.
Someone asked, will ballpark pricing be provided or do we need to contact you?
Absolutely. If you guys reach out, we'd be happy to discuss with you the pricing for the devices, both wrapped up as part of our service or as a standalone device.
And then the last question is unit, it is pulled out of geofence. I'm not quite sure the context of that. I don't know if it was going to ring any bells from what you've been talking about, so I didn't want to skip it.
No, we do use geofencing as part of this. Basically, you know, just so we don't alert too much, but that's kind of the device has gone walking or stolen. So once it departs, you know, a certain distance from where it was deployed, that's when we'll start getting some of these alerts. So that we do use GeoZones extensively with this product. But I hope that somewhat answers your question. If not, please send us an email and we're happy to clarify additional details.
And that seems to be, oh yeah, you said that answers it.
Okay, perfect.
And that was the last question for now.
Excellent. Well, thank you everyone for taking the time. We're really excited about this product. We were in Toronto last week for the big GTHA Innovation Summit, and there was a lot of buzz generated by that. So I hope this was entertaining for you and interesting. And we were going to follow up, I think after this or tomorrow maybe?
Tomorrow with a recording and the slide deck.
Yeah, so if there's any, we'll have our contact information, both mine and Gary. So if you guys have any questions, whether it's pricing, technical, etc., yeah, please reach out to us and we'd be happy to answer any questions and have a conversation.
Thank you.
Thanks everyone. Have a good afternoon.